Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Don't bet on the silver boom. Let's explore. Yes, this comes to us from Financial Times, and it is quite telling. It's going to have you depressed when we go through this article here, because they're saying that the industrial metal will not be dragged up by gold. That's an interesting language there. And this is an opinion piece from Financial Times. We're going to pick it apart and kind of take a look at it here. And let's see. So it's saying here that this metal is not going to follow gold in its rise up through this current crisis that we are under. It says if gold was the metal that drove the conquistadors mad, in recent decades, silver has had the power to induce near psychotic states among its holders. I almost wrote investors, but that too is dispassionate term for the true believers in silver. So this guy definitely is jaded about the metal for sure. And I think in some cases it's understandable, but in other cases I believe it's unfounded, and we'll kind of go through that here. In recent months, gold has become a respectable part of institutional core strategies, providing a useful anchor to windward in the post-coronavirus markets. That is so true. The price of silver, though, has been left behind by the now fashionable cohort of gold bugs. Silver is still up for the year in dollar terms at just above $18 per troy ounce. The silver-to-gold ratio reached its all-time peak on March 18th when the price collapsed to $11.94. Some say it was a little lower than that even. At that point, the spot price of a troy ounce of gold was worth 126.5 ounces of silver. Now, that is just the paper price. That's the electronic price for silver. None of us could get silver anywhere near $18, much less 11, much less any respectable amount over that spot price because the demand was so high. In fact, just today I saw a video from Silver Bean Counter talking about, that it's even tough to find 100-ounce silver bars for a respectable premium. The premiums are still high for silver even now, and the prices have gone up over $18 an ounce now. Since then, the GSR, as Silverados would put it, well, that is what it is, has drifted down to below 100, where it has been bouncing gently since the end of May. For the silver people, the relative strength in the price of gold is a buy signal, but they believe almost anything is a buy signal. Yeah, you want to talk about jaded. Most non-U.S. metals people think of silver in terms of its utility for tableware, jewelry, or superior electrical conductivity. For a certain kind of American, silver is part of an ideology. And that there's some truth to that, for sure. It goes along with owning a semi-automatic rifle with lots of spare ammunition, canned goods, conspiracy theories. Content for urban liberals, they are way past voting Republican. The most committed are silver stackers who squirrel away stacks of silver coins to trade for essentials after societal collapse. Wow, he's really going after us on this one, that's for sure. He says here in this little side quote, the good news is that unlike gold, silver is really too cheap to be worth faking. Wow, okay. Do not argue with these people. Just back off without making any sudden or threatening movements. So there, he's got us pegged. Us silver stackers are crazy wackos, apparently, that are way past voting Republican. Well, I tell you what, something I've seen. There's a lot of versatility in the silver community for sure. And we're not all Republicans. That I can assure you. Your true silver believer thinks the GSR should be much, much lower than 96 or 98 to 1. And to be fair to them, Isaac Newton would agree. If he was around today, Newton believed the GSR should be fixed to 16 to 1. In fact, For quite a long time, silver was fixed at around 15 to 1. Metal market professionals do not share that view. CPM, an industry advisory firm that does not trade or sell the metals or related securities, has a house view that silver prices will not sink as they did in March, but are likely to trade above 16 and below 20. That is not enough to spark a silver mining boom. The newest significant silver mine, Sotkamo in Finland, has not been a runaway success since it opened last year. The management, which had not reportedly fully price hedged its production, has recently changed. Mining investors are more enthusiastic about the prospects for other metals such as nickel, copper, and cobalt. As one of them says, there is much more emphasis on capital spending discipline. With silver, you have significant above-ground stocks. And that is the problem for silver enthusiasts. Yes, the world's mine output runs short of industrial investment and jewelry demand. But there are billions of ounces of silver that are already been mined and then stored as bullion and turned into retail artifacts which can easily be melted down. That probability explains the apparent price resistance when the metal trades near $20. Well, and that's just it. Retail artifacts, that's an interesting term, but it kind of bolsters kind of the point I've been saying that, it can be recovered from retail artifacts. I would say consumer electronics is probably what he means there. But nonetheless, most of the people that accumulate silver are holding on to it. Unless they're being very frustrated and just want to sell. Well, I guess we are seeing some of that, which brings it into the marketplace. But as noted, as we've seen, there has been an increased demand for silver upon the coronavirus situation. And that demand is not letting up a whole lot from what I understand. Hence why premiums are still high. They are going down somewhat, but gold is definitely selling in the marketplace for well above $20 an ounce, unless you buy a 100-ounce bar, and even then, it's going for about $20 an ounce. The good news is that unlike gold, silver is really too cheap to be worth faking. On the other hand, it is also too cheap to be much interest to major banks. 40 or 50 years ago, there were rafts of precious metal groups at major banks shuttling tons of metal through their vaults. In fact, we talked about the United States strategic silver stockpiles, although that was mainly for leftover from what we had from the Manhattan Project, and strategic reasons to have it on hand in that regard for sure, and also utilized in the photography industry, and that has kind of run out. Now there's enough silver out there to be utilized for many myriad different purposes. In fact, much more versatile usage for silver now than ever before in history. In recent years, the physical trade in precious metals has attracted too many compliance costs and scandals to be interesting to most banks. Even first-rank hedge funds have difficulty getting ready access to the physical market for gold. Silver, they'll call back later. This very bearish article concludes by saying, if you ignore these cautions and are still intrigued by silver, you could be haunted by the ghost of Nelson Bunker Hunt. Almost 40 years to the day before the March crash in silver, he was forced to meet billion-dollar bank crisis-triggering margin calls for his silver positions. From the peak of Texas rich, he became bankrupt. That is true. It's a Nelson Hunt. In fact, that cornering of the silver market is kind of really a stretch, and it turns out, and it was a once that'll never happen again. The way the markets are these days, that could not happen again. In fact, manipulation is something that I've always pushed back against when people say that it's only manipulation holding the prices down. But what about the manipulation that causes the prices to go up? Manipulation is always about self-interest and about people making money in the trades. They don't care about the price, where the price is, as long as they make money on it, on that price, whatever they do to fix it or what have you. And it's not to say that it doesn't happen, but I believe natural market forces play a larger role. So though this article was a bit snarky towards silver, I'm not ruling out the possibility that it could have a comeback of sorts. Do I think it's going to go to the moon? No. Do I think the gold to silver ratio will normalize to what we expect that, or what we had been used to for quite some time, which is around anywhere between the high 40s to the low 70s? Maybe not. We may be entering a new reality for silver, and reality is what I'm about. I want to be as realistic as possible about the metal, although I'm not going to be as derogatory as this article is saying. I by no means have any illusions about the metal's performance, and we have to look at what the reality is on the ground and the perception that the market has on silver. I get a lot of pushback in some of the comments when I post articles like this and I do videos talking about precious metals and especially silver in what some would consider as a bearish situation. But I want to be realistic about the metal, because you buy it in hopes that it's going to increase in price. But you want to buy it understanding that it's going to preserve value. And that is the fundamental difference. And so that's why I don't believe in making money off of silver. It's too much stress to try to make money off of anything, which is why I'm always very risk averse, which is why I don't play the stock market. There's too much risk involved. I don't like risk. But I do like tangible things. I like to touch things, and silver is something you can touch. But I want to be as realistic about it as possible. And I'm going to have a video coming. It's actually already recorded as somewhat of a response to this article and maybe some of the pushback that I may receive from it. And it's going to be entitled, "I Do Not Hate Silver," because I think some people out there are under the impression that I'm just raining on everybody's parade for silver. No, I just want people to keep an even keeled opinion on it, and not to get your hopes up over something just in case the prices stay stagnant for a while. And when I say stagnant, I'm talking about really what's happening now with silver. Make no mistake, though premiums are high for silver right now, when you go to buy, and it is up maybe just marginally above where it was pre-coronavirus, the actual spot price itself is right around where it was before the coronavirus. And only the premium's gone up a little bit. But in reality, considering the situation that we are in and where gold is now, silver should be much higher than it is now. And it's frustrating. And we have to accept that reality. And after several months of dealing with coronavirus now, it's setting in, things are where it is, you would think it would be higher. But we are getting some positive economic news. And there's a chance that we could see a good economic recovery, which is not going to be good for silver's price. Does that mean you should give up on silver? No. In fact, I would encourage you that this is not the time to sell your silver at all, especially if you've got more into it than what you paid. Be patient. Hold on to it. But be wise about stacking. And that's really the message. Be wise and be realistic about stacking silver, especially silver. And but I would, though I would want people to be realistic about the accumulation and holding of it. I would also encourage you not to give up on it as well. So I hope that gives you some perspective. There'll be more on that in my video entitled, "I Do Not Hate Silver," coming very, very soon. But I want to put this video out there as food for thought, and understand there are going to be some people who certainly are jaded to the point where they don't think that it's going to rise with gold in coming months. And I don't believe that as well either. I think it will ride on gold's coattails, although we may not see the ratio narrow much more than what it is now. But who knows? I could be completely wrong on that. I'd rather be wrong and be surprised at the positive than the other way around. But I want to be realistic when it's all said and done, because I think it's a disservice to the community if I try to propagate some opinion about silver and give people false hopes. I do not want to give anybody any false hopes about the performance of any precious metal. I hope you understand. So there you have it. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.